Oh my gosh, did you just get done breastfeeding that baby again?
I did. Aren't I a piece of trash and a failure to society?
You should just put her down. Nobody else is going to be able to help you. You're not going to be productive.
I know. Why don't I just put her on a bottle? And if I'm so into giving her nourishing breast milk, just pump that milk out.
Yeah.
Pump the milk out and give her to somebody else, right?
Blow up your boobies, and then they can never come back down to size, and you look like you're 60 at 27.
Yes, correct.
That's how old you are, right? 27?
Yeah, sure. I'm 27.
So most of our stuff revolves around animals and living the natural life, which, by the way, is Hillary's Instagram.
_ the natural life _
So Hillary DuPont, you'll find her under. She's a lady in a blue dress feeding a giant yellow snake back outside of our shop.
I'm not feeding it. It's our child next to it.
Oh, I thought you were feeding our child to it.
No.
Anyways, but Hillary and I wanted to do this video because everybody talks about how...
Well, actually, I think we wanted to do this video because he would get sick of me in the beginning coming home and crying because you're an emotional wreck after you have a baby. And every time I would go out in public and someone would see me nursing her, these common lines that I would get told would just totally rip me apart by the end of the day, and I would come home to Aaron and...
You're breastfeeding that baby again. Why don't you just put that baby on a bottle?
You're spoiling that baby.
That baby needs to be on a bottle.
Or when that baby falls asleep, lay that baby down. Stop holding that baby. You're doing nothing but ruining that baby.
Nobody else is going to be able to take care of that baby.
And that baby is just the most spoiled little baby. You're never going to be able to get back to work. You need to put the baby down.
You need to get back to work.
Yep.
This place needs you.
Yep. These were all the common lines that I would hear, he would hear. And so one night when I was crying to Aaron, I said to him, you know, why don't people shame and yell at, in the example I used, because we have animals and we have rats that nurse babies, and the baby rats, as sad as it is, it's the chain of life. They feed snakes and other animals. And I would say to him, how come people don't walk up to mother animals, such as a dog? This is little Patchouli. This is Ellie Mae's puppy. Well, she's not a puppy, but she is a puppy. Anyways, how come they don't walk up to the dog and go, oh, you piece of trash, look at you nursing those babies. You're going to spoil them. You can't nurse those babies like that. Nobody else is going to be able to soothe your puppies. But instead, oh dear, hold on. I don't want her to hurt her. Instead, they tell people, no, breast is best for the puppy. You don't want to put a puppy on formula. That's not healthy for them. They need to stay on the mother for at least 8 weeks until they're weaned. But when it comes to humans, they want us to, how many weeks? Usually, I think it's 4 to 6 weeks they give a mom off of work to take care of their young, and then it's get back to work, get that baby on a bottle.
Immediately when you deliver in the hospital, they rip the baby away from you and they try to put it on a bottle or pacifier to simulate a silicone nipple.
And they do not let you sleep with that baby. They tell you that it's not safe. And actually, my doula told me a story of a mom that was a breastfeeding mom, and she was holding the baby one night, and the baby started choking, and she was able to save the baby's life. But if that baby had been in a crib, it probably would have died from SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, because nobody would have been there to, keep the baby from choking. And so that's one way that they start in the hospital. At least with our first 2 children I had in a hospital. I attempted to breastfeed them, and I was not successful because I was told by my healthcare professionals around me that I wasn't producing enough milk. It would just be best if I put the baby on a bottle. We would get a better night's sleep if we put the baby on a bottle. And I was never supported. Even my mother said, who had 9 children and breastfed 8 of us, when she had my brother, her firstborn, that it was said you were poor trash if you breastfed your baby, that you should put them on formula. So my mom caved in to the people around her and she put the baby on formula. And back then I think it was just canned milk with something else inside of it. But our society promotes moms not to be, oh, are you tired? You want to go dada? You want to go to daddy? But our society promotes moms not to be mothers, and they shame you for doing what comes natural to you. And breastfeeding is completely natural. I was just reading the other day that a baby's saliva, when they're breastfeeding, that your nipples have receptors on them that can read the baby's saliva and produce antibiotics or whatever is needed to boost the baby's immunity. And also, your breast milk knows the age of your baby and produces the proper proteins and fats in the milk to nourish that baby. So,
also, babies who breastfeed are 3.8% more intelligent.
They have a higher IQ. 3.8% higher IQ than other babies that are not breastfed.
Unlike me, who can't remember what I just said.
But it's really a serious thing, because I was told when
How about it's a serious thing because it's the way that God, the natural world, designed all of life to be.
Yes.
There are very few things that birth on this earth and just say la vie.
Except for snakes.
Good. Actually, that's not necessarily
I know,
true.
because I have video of our rainbow boa after she gave birth.
Right, she wasn't lactating, but she was
but she
helping.
sat there and she helped her babies break the sac, and she took her little nose and
Alligators don't nurse, but they hang out with their mama for a little while for protection, and then they hang out together for protection. So there are implemented designs in every creation on this earth for survival purposes, for bonding purposes, all of those things.
So with our first two children, I bottle fed them, and I was told I wasn't producing enough milk, when in fact that's not true. And we determined I wasn't. She's laughing at her. They determined that I wasn't producing enough milk because when I pumped, I only got 1 or 2 ounces every time I pumped. But in fact, that meant that that's all the baby needed at that moment, because when you put them on a bottle and you give them 4 ounces of milk, they nurse nonstop, because as a baby is bonding with its mother, it's suckling all the time. Sometimes she'll suckle on me while she's sleeping for an hour, and I'm sure she's not getting milk that entire time, but it's a soothing effect. And it also releases endorphins in the mother, and the baby's little tiny tummies, because when she was first born, I sat here and breastfed her after I gave birth, and she was only like, I would say that big. She was this little itty bitty thing.
Here's a side note for you. They have, in the study of smoking cigarettes, they have actually studied it and realized that, yes, it's an addiction after a certain amount of time with chemicals and things like that, especially the stuff they're putting in the horrible cigarettes. Not that any cigarette is great, but definitely the bad ones, the big corporates, have horrible poisons in them. But initially, what happens is the person desires something to be in their mouth consistently. Just like a baby finds comfort in the nipple, and they relate it back to the nipple sensation that we as what we were as babies find, and we think that the cigarette is like part of something just in our mouth, just constantly like that. You like that?
They call that an oral fixation.
Yes, an oral fixation.
So, anyways, no one ever told me. It wasn't until I found the internet on my phone when I was...
You found the internet?
I did. I doggone found that internet right there and there, right in my little phone.
Wait, is that what you're telling me today? Encyclopedia Britannica?
Uh-huh.
In your pocket?
In my pocket. Anyways, I read about cluster feeding, and that's when the baby... I know. Are you jealous that Patchouli's licking mom and not you? Because you like that? Yeah. They suckle and they cluster feed when they're babies, because they're newborn infants. Do you remember the line I would use on you and the kids all the time when Ellie was first born and you all would laugh at me? Do you remember what I'd say?
No.
What do moms do in the wild? I don't even know if anybody can hear me, but I would say, what do moms do in the wild? And you all would laugh at me and go, when are humans in the wild? And what I'm talking about is the natives, which is truly the way I wish I lived, was like a native.
Well, our midwife was telling us about some of the stuff that she's been through, helping villagers and stuff like that in the native villages. And I asked her, I said, I mean, like these women that are like really in the jungle, like tigers and crazy stuff. Like, how do they like shut the kid up, man? This damn tiger in the bushes. So what she would reference me to was the National Geographic images of the women that had the wraps around them. And I was like, yeah, I remember what you're talking about. And she says, there's baby in that. And the baby was just like magnetized onto the nipple the entire time.
Let's use the word bond. It's not a maggot.
But it's like it's sucked on and leaching like just consistently. Now, of course, it didn't always be like that, but it was inside of that wrap to be quiet.
So predators wouldn't get them.
Right, because the men would go off to hunt and things like that, and you can still see that today. If you watch National Geographics and things like that, where people are in actual native villages with just like gourds and stuff covering their privates, the women will have like total wraps around them. Not all of them. They have nursing moms, which your mom was a nursing mom. She not a nursing mom to you.
Oh, a wet nurse. No,
nurse,
my mother was a wet nurse. She breastfed other people's babies, which I call my milk brothers. Anyways, to get back to the whole breastfeeding, I'm now older, so I'll just go ahead and say my age. I'm
27.
I'm 39
27.
years old. I was 27 when I had Wyatt.
You're 30. I gotta go.
You're gonna divorce me now? Anyways, I'm 39 years old, and do you want mama? Hold on, to be continued.
Isn't that what all rich men do? They divorce for a younger model?
Yeah, when they find a younger one. Some of them do.
What do you think your trade-in value is?
Oh, nothing. Nobody wants me. I have 3 children.
Oh,
yeah.
You got mama? Yeah.
She's fighting sleep. She doesn't even want to nurse. Here, mama will hold you like this. So anyways, we vowed this time to go as natural as possible, because when I was 27, I was easily gullible to what people told me. I believed what the doctor said, and because of a lot of listening to the doctors, which I'm not saying don't take medical advice from your doctor, because
sometimes there's issues. Sometimes you have you have real problems.
I personally experienced that when I listened to doctors, that they made me feel like I was not able to birth a baby on my own without pain meds or intervention. I was not able to breastfeed. I was not able to, I was not allowed. They told me, you are not allowed to sleep with that baby. You will kill it. There was so many different things that they told me that I now realize were just outright blatant lies to help the pharmaceutical industry, and to help the medical industry profit off of my birth. It really is disturbing, and I'm so thankful I found my midwife to help me give birth in the most natural way, because
we had so many questions about breastfeeding when we were getting ready to bring Ellie in, and they answered everything. Now, mind you, these are women that were headlong into the medical industry. Like, you can't become a midwife without like actually knowing your stuff. They're not just like Susie down the street who wants to bring people into the world. These are medical professionals that got tired of the medical system and then wanted to do things the natural way, and most of them are women because they know the woman's body. Really, a man has really no place telling a woman what to do when it comes to birthing a child into this world, unless it's their baby, unless it's an actual father of the child. Men really just don't belong in the practice of the field of birthing children. Now, we can study it and we can help and things like that, but when it comes to communicating with a mother, what is a guy doctor going to relate to a patient that is bringing a child into the world? You can tell him this, you can tell him that. The woman consistently is going to think in her mind, what are you telling me about this? You have no idea about any of this stuff. You know, and that's why women have been birthing women for centuries and eons. It is just the natural way. In India, they have a whole team of women that come in. The Native Americans, same situation. I don't know about today, modern day, but back in the day, everything was all accomplished by a team of women.
That's what got me to thinking when I found out I was pregnant with Ellie was, I don't want to go to the hospital. I had 2 horrible complicacations from both births in the hospital because of what the doctors told me. With Wyatt, I went in there just like with Ellie Mae. I was 5 centimeters dilated. I had absolutely no pain. I was eating and drinking food before I came in, which also I got in trouble for because they tell you not to in case they have to do a C-section. Whoa, don't expose me, kiddo. Anyways, and they told me I needed an epidural right away. And they gave me an epidural.
Epidural, C-section. I got a golf appointment.
Yeah, basically. Like, come on. I don't want to sit here and wait on you to labor naturally. I'm making money off of you. This is a business. I got to pay back my student loans. Let's get the show on the road. And then they use the excuse, oh, it's so much more safe the way that we do it. And it's
because
not...
Because you're smarter than God, who designed your body to birth it, right?
So here's the deal. So with Wyatt, because they gave me the epidural, I was not able to feel to push him out, and it was too late to do a C-section, so they actually had to put forceps on his head and rip him out. And And when he came out, he was cut in his face. He was an upset, angry baby because he was ripped into this world, and he's still upset to this day. We like to say because of it.
And the midwives relate birthing experiences to the long-term
the disposition
attitude,
of the child, yes. Because
which we both can say, Wyatt and Gracie both have issues, anger management issues.
They don't have issues. Our children are beautiful, wonderful children, but we can see a difference in them.
You know,
and our midwife told us, wait till you see how wonderful a home birth baby is.
Right.
And I am here to tell you that is 100% true.
She's just happy, happy, happy.
So
if she ain't happy, you put a boob in her mouth and she's happy.
Right now she's out like a light. And then with Gracie, when I went into the hospital, they also told me you're going to need that epidural. Actually, I think I asked for it because they said, oh, you're 40 weeks pregnant. You need to have this baby now or we're going to have to do a C-section. So they shot me up with Pitocin. The pain was unbearable that I think I actually begged for the epidural that time. And because of the epidural, they pulled out too much spinal fluid. So
you still have issues to this day.
And after I came out of birthing her, I had migraines. We couldn't have the lights on in the room. It was an awful experience.
And back to breastfeeding, there's been women, and this is a common practice, that when the baby comes out and is all sitting down there all flushed red and pale white and crazy stuff's going on, the baby actually has a natural instinct, and we've seen this in, of course, you know, all the animals that we deal with that are mammals, goats and porcupines and other different crazy stuff, where the mom is so exhausted from birthing, but the little baby new into this world, taking breaths and finding its way, just knows how to like inch and stay close to its mom and actually finds the nipple. And in the human world, it is a common practice for the the assistance of the birthing mom to take the baby once it's delivered, place it onto the abdomen of the female that has just birthed, and then the baby will actually crawl.
They'll do a crawl to the nipple. And that's why they say the mother's nipple becomes darker when they give birth, and it's to help the baby find the nipple.
Because the babies can't really see.
So,
for all you guys
with
out there.
Wyatt and Gracie, hospital birth, tried breastfeeding, was told I wasn't producing enough because when I would pump, it was only 1 to 2 ounces, when truly that's all she needed. She didn't need a big old bottle of milk to fill her belly.
So you're telling me your 6-pound, 7-ounce baby doesn't need a gallon of milk
Correct.
a day?
But she wasn't 6 pounds, 7 ounces. She was 7 pounds, 2 ounces. Anyways.
I am a guy.
So when we found out we were pregnant with Ellie, we decided that we wanted to do everything as natural as possible. And I defied a lot of odds. First of all, I was considered high risk because I was 39 years old. I was considered high risk because I was 41 weeks pregnant. I was considered high risk because when the water broke, we found out she had meconium, which is when the baby poops in the sac, and they usually tell you, oh, the baby's gonna die.
C-section, quick.
Wait, antibiotics immediately. Put them on antibiotics. Get them in the room. C-section
Give her
immediately.
some of this stuff we can make some money off of.
Yeah. Let's do an emergency C-section and rake in the dough. And I ended up, and one day, I say when we hit 100,000 subscribers, yeah, we have big dreams, we will then pay to have it professionally edited, and we will share our complete birth story of me giving birth to her in this room, unassisted, surrounded by the love of my family, and I delivered her myself into this world just like God intended us to. And I'm not knocking on people that have hospital births or people that can't have a home birth. I'm just simply relating my experience and how I feel, because everybody's different. But for me, being around the animals, being connected to nature, I live in nature all day long. My whole life is nature. I try to be as natural as possible. And I wanted to have the most natural experience when it came to birthing our daughter. And immediately I pulled her out, stuck her on my chest, and started breastfeeding her.
As an observer, because obviously I can never sympathize, but as an observer, I would venture to say that there's nothing that will place you in contact with your creator more than creating another human life inside of you and delivering that child naturally, and feeling the pain, feeling the connection, feeling the work that it takes to bring a child into this world naturally.
Well, and everybody says, oh, how did you do that? How did you handle the pain? Oh my goodness. And
there are hundreds of thousands of millions of women across this earth that experience that on a yearly basis. And it is really truly just the American society that goes, oh no, I have to have a C-section.
What they don't realize...
There are so many deaths at home.
Well, so I woke up at 4 in the morning and I realized I was in labor. And I wasn't going to call my midwife or my doula or anybody yet. I was like, I'm going to take my time. And so actually I got to eat and drink throughout my entire labor. I had no pain. Yes, I would stop because the contractions would take my breath away, and we were timing them and you have to breathe through them. But I didn't have any pain, and I was able to walk around. It was nice and cool out because it was a winter morning. And then when I went into what they call transition, oh yeah, the pain was there. But then it hit like a capping point. And I remember I looked back on the video and I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't even scream. I didn't even moan. You guys actually had to tell me, Hillary, make noise, make deep noises, moan, moan. My doula was telling me, you gotta moan, you gotta moan. And I didn't even want to moan. I didn't want to make noises. I just went into a special place into my mind, and it was actually like euphoric when I gave birth. And you just do it. It's just, you have no control over the pushing. And I just remember closing my eyes and breathing in and out. And then I had this precious bundle of joy. And I remember my first words to her were, "We did it, Ellie. We did it." And we did. We were able to do it, and we defied so many odds. Oh, here's another one we defied. Not only was I 41 weeks when I gave birth, but she was breech. And I went to my midwife, who...
The best baby flipper in town.
That's right. She's the best baby flipper in town. And I remember Aaron, because I was so big, he had to pick me up and put me upside down on the table. And my midwife is so tiny, I seen her arms shaking, but she physically manipulated her and turned her for me so that I was able to deliver her not being breech. But if she was going to be breech, I was still going to deliver at home.
I was amazed. I mean, as a guy who builds stuff and understands physics and things, you know, I understood the science behind, okay, the baby's upside down, and you know, we're gonna actually turn her inside of her, and I'm like, I've never heard of this being done in my entire life. And I was, when I met Hillary...
Well, you know why you never heard of it? No. You didn't hear of it because in the medical industry, that's C-section.
Well,
that's a quick in and out, and that's big money.
And of course, I was trained as an EMT paramedic before I met you. Never in my life have I heard of those kinds of things. Breech baby, okay, no problem. You can deliver a breech baby. There are a lot of babies delivered breech. A lot of babies delivered breech at home. It's not a unnatural thing. It's not an unsafe thing. But they would always rather deliver head first because that's just natural. One of the reasons she went so long is because she was breech, and she didn't want to turn back around. So we thought that when she flipped her inside of her, that she had somehow or another flipped back around, because our midwife told us, you know, that is possible, but it's just kind of unlikely. Most of the time they stay, because that is what they want to do. They feel the need to get out, you know. But I'll never forget sitting there watching, and I could watch the head as she was pushing, and I could see her little arm, the midwife's arms, pushing just ever so gently. She lubed her up like a greased monkey, man,
that's right.
And it was just like some kind of magic stuff she was doing, and then sure enough, she's like boom, 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 and she listened for the heartbeat and did everything. She said, okay, just be easy, and you know, as time goes on, she'll feel comfortable in this position. You can get up and you can walk around, do whatever you want to. And sure enough, it wasn't but a little bit longer that we were here at the house delivering her.
Yep. So the whole point of this video is to let you know that you are able to breastfeed your baby. You do not have to listen to all the hate speech from people around you who tell you that you're spoiling the baby, you need to get back to work, that baby needs to be held and comforted and soothed by other people, and or don't sleep with the baby, you're going to smother it, you're going to kill it.
Now there are devices, because sleeping with the baby, it is definitely dangerous, and people like, okay, so depends on who you are as a person. Hillary will sleep on the edge of a piece of paper and never move. I have seen people, our daughter Gracie being one of them, she'll go to bed in one position and wake up on the floor across the room. So if you're that type of person, sleeping with your baby's probably not a good idea. So you really have to know yourself before you make that decision, and they do make devices that allow the baby to be in that device, and it's kind of bulky and weird and whatever for you, so if it's next to you when you move, you can't get onto it, and it prevents you from rolling on your baby. So, you know, definitely you want to be very careful about sleeping with your baby.
Another pro of breastfeeding is that the baby, when it suckles and nurses, it contracts your uterus and brings your belly back down to size. And you know, because a lot of people think you need to bounce back right away. It's taken me 7 months to get back to my size that I was beforehand. Actually, I'm not quite all the way there yet, but I'm getting there. Anyways, but there's so many benefits to breastfeeding, and it's such a wonderful, wonderful thing. And she's already got a tooth in, and no, I did not stop breastfeeding.
I lost money on that.
To who? Yourself? To what? Anyways, so don't listen to all the haters out there. And if you want to have a natural, home birth and everything checks out okay for you and your healthcare professionals say that it's fine, then go for the gold and do it.
And if your healthcare professionals don't say that it's fine, get a second opinion.
Yes.
Because oftentimes your healthcare professional is going to be a doctor that is associated with the hospital, such and so forth. Find a midwife in your area. Talk to them. Get your records sent over to them. They know often more than what your medical professional that is a birthing expert at your local hospital knows.